going on? It's Nav Sultan, and this is Sultanic Thoughts. I want to make a more positive video today because I'm in a really nice part of the city. I hope this microphone doesn't fall down, but I want to talk about what to do with your life if you don't really, if it's not where you really want it to be. A lot of people are just trying to find paths. They're just trying to find, points of action that they can take to get where they're trying to go. And for me, in my history of making a lot of money in the past, there was always this, combination that I did where I would, when I didn't have shit, I would go and spend time in places where rich people were. So I would do a lot of running. I would find, the houses in my area, the biggest houses, the most expensive areas of the city. And I would go for long runs, at nighttime. I would just run and I would just look at these houses and just look at these houses. And now I really want to, live a more luxurious life at some point in Miami. I want to really experience living in Miami, for 5, 6 months. And here I am, I'm in this part of the city. It's summertime. As you can see, there's big yachts. There's yachts over here. There's yachts over there. And, when I come here, I look at these yachts and then afterwards I kind of close my eyes and I just visualize, the harbor of Miami and being in those places. And I visualize myself on those yachts. I visualize myself being invited to those yachts. I visualize the people on those yachts giving me opportunities, you know what I mean? Telling me about, investments, telling me about ways that they grew their business and they scaled their business. And, you want to constantly be doing this, even if you're in a car that you don't enjoy, you know what I mean? Every day when you start that car and you hold the steering wheel before you even start driving it, just close your eyes and picture that the logo of the car that you really want is in the middle of that steering wheel. Picture the sound, picture, the interior of it. There's these videos of people that are basically driving, G-Wagons and Rolls Royces and Ferraris through, different cities in America or, in different parts of the world. And you can really play those at night, spend 5, 10 minutes a day, really closing your eyes and visualizing yourself in these surroundings. And there's a strange thing that happens with our brains where our brains don't really know if something is real or not when we're visualizing it. It just has the image, and the stronger the image is, and the more you kind of believe that that image is somewhere that you are placing yourself in, the subconscious mind goes to work on trying to figure out how to, manifest that image into your own life. And, you can try this if you guys go to the gym. If you're doing 10 pull-ups and that's it, that's your limit of doing 10 pull-ups, do your 10 pull-ups, wait, close your eyes, hold the actual pull-up bar, and visualize yourself doing 12, 13, right, reps instead. Visualize yourself going all the way down, coming up, all the way down, coming up 13 times. Visualize yourself when you get to 10, just blasting through and doing another 3. And you're going to do 1 or 2, 3 more. It's a strange phenomenon where a lot of the reasons why we stop ourselves from getting what we want in life or reaching a goal is because our mind is putting the ceiling on that goal. You know what I mean? And, some of you guys will be like, oh, yeah, well, I live here. How am I supposed to have, a $2.3 million yacht? How am I supposed to live in this part of the city, this and that? But that's your mind already putting the blinders on. When you start actually doing the work and you actually start kind of reprogramming your mind on a daily basis, you know what I mean? Almost like when you shower, whatever it is that you're trying to do, give it that imprint, right? Give it that imprint, because the stronger that imprint is of the image that you're trying to, create for yourself, the more the blinders start to come off and you start to see how it can happen here, how it can happen there, how it can happen here, how it can happen there. I remember there was a time where I was like a broke college kid. I I was living off a government loan to go to school, student loan, and I would just picture myself in a Mercedes SL 55. You know what I mean? And I was doing that practice for a long time. SL 55 is the convertible. They used to be a lot nicer back in the day. I don't really like the new models. And I even wrote this. I remember one time I had this sheet and it was called My Perfect Day, right? And I just wrote, I wake up in the morning, I check my phone, I made $1,000 while I slept online. You know, my dog and my cat came and woke me up. My girlfriend was sleeping next to me. I made a shake. I grabbed my bag. I went to school in my SL55 uh, white SL55. I did my class. I stopped by the gym. I started naming the perfect day. And this is the time when I was living in a townhouse, and my roommate beside me was a schizophrenic who would scream at night. And the lady who owned the townhouse was some old miserable hag whose husband left her. And it was such a depressing environment. But all I would do was basically grind on the computer, go to school, go to the gym, and I would visualize these things. And what happens is that when you don't believe it fully, you get like a Timu version of it. You know what I mean? And what's crazy is that I ended up moving downtown Vancouver, living by the beach, which I had put in my perfect day. Remember, I wrote this perfect day and I put it away and I never really looked at it again. And I remember one day I was going to my gym, my friend who sells cars, like, yo, I got a convertible. It's a convertible. You want to come see it? I'm like, I don't need it. Like, I literally live downtown. I never drive. I just walk everywhere. I'm downtown. He's like, no, just come see. He kept pushing. He finally got me. We went, and it was this white Eclipse convertible, the ones that they used to have in the Fast and Furious. And I got a really good deal on it. And I sat in this car and I was driving home and the sunset was going down on downtown Vancouver. And I just remembered this realization hit me like, holy fuck, I did it. Now, it wasn't the Mercedes because my belief was not 100,000% that it was the Mercedes, but I had enough belief that I could recreate that image that I was constantly feeding my brain over and over. Whenever I would just be in these moments of negativity, I would close my eyes and picture my hands on the steering wheel driving down the sunset. And now the sunset's happening, the roof is down, and I'm like, holy shit, this thing actually worked to some extent. And, a couple months later, Christmas shows up, right? And who shows up at my house for Christmas? My ex-girlfriend with a kitten. You know what I mean? And I'm like, holy shit. And this kitten was the same cat I had when I was 6 years old that my parents had to give away after 2 months because I had allergies to it. And it was just so strange that like all this time I yearned for this cat. And when I was always wondering whatever happened to that cat. I was always, the longest time I was so sad about this cat. I even think I put a lot of, walls around love because of that cat, because I love that cat. And when we had to give it away, it was like this heartbreak for a 6-year-old to be like, I don't want to feel this shit again, And it's all relevant to the bigger thing. And I just remember that like one day my girlfriend was living with me at this time, and I woke up and my cat is playing with my feet, and I check my phone. I made like $700 while I slept. Okay, it wasn't. By the end of the day, I made like $1,500. And then I grab my bag, I grab the shake, I go into this white Eclipse, I drive to school, and I'm just like, holy shit, like I literally wrote it and it happened. Not 100%, but close enough. There was no dog. It was $300 short, and it wasn't a Mercedes, it was an Eclipse. Now, I'm not complaining, but when you write things as if they've already happened, when you start visualizing things like they've already happened, you kind of trick your brain into, acting on things in a matter and looking for things and scanning for things out there in the present world to fulfill that image. The subconscious is like your slave. The subconscious is like AI. AI, you talk to AI and it gives you what you want. It's like almost like God, and subconscious is your own, human AI, where you can ask yourself any question. How am I going to get $1,000 today? And some things come to your head. Now it can be a bunch of stuff. Oh, I could rob the Brinks truck. I can go sell drugs. Like I can go sell this product for my friend. I can go get, an HVAC lead for my buddy who has an HVAC business, right? So there's a lot of things that can come. It all starts from kind of tapping into that and using that. And that's kind of the message here, man. It's just kind of like, if you ain't got shit going on and things are dog shit in your life, first thing you can do is just start trying to get around, richness and wealth. Put yourself in that space, because that space has its own vibrational frequency. That place has its own kind of energy. And while you're there, you want to kind of like close your eyes and really picture that that's yours. It's not his, it's mine. Like picture yourself walking to that boat. You know what I mean? I can picture myself walking to that boat and start driving it around here and really imprint it in your head, and always constantly be putting these imprints in your head. Keep putting them. I'm telling you, strange things will happen. You might not end up with that boat, but a buddy of yours will invite you to one. You know what I mean? You might not end up with that boat, but then you'll see that same boat being advertised, on the internet for a boat party. It always starts like that. It starts with a variation of what it is you want, because your belief isn't 100% yet. Your belief might only be 20%, 30%. So it only acts with the amount of belief you have. And that's why a lot of people, they make their first million and then they crush it, because the 1 million was always a far away belief. But then once they hit it, now they believe it. 2, 3, 4, 5 comes afterwards. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's the message for today. I'll keep it short and sweet. Let me know if you like videos like this, because I do like to talk about metaphysical, topics as well. You know, I've had a long history of manifesting things, and in weird things, weird ways, things that I really wanted to do, and I had no business or means or skill set to acquire it, and it came into my life. A lot of people don't believe in this stuff, but you look at famous athletes, successful athletes, a lot of successful people, and